Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to what I am so excited to launch here in 2022. And that is my first Dimensions of Wellness interview and live stream. And I'm super excited to have a great partner with me here today. But I want to give everyone a little background. First of all, for those of you who are new to me, my name's Nikki Campbell, and I own the Flourish Group. And the Flourish Group provides executive and corporate wellness programs. So we work with individuals and then we work with organizations to help them be healthier and find time to be healthier. But the 8 dimensions of wellness is something, if you know me at all, I'm very much about education and kind of looking at you as a whole person versus just your physical wellness. So we were just talking in advance of this about, BMI and some of those things that we look at as indicators of our health. There are other things. There are 7 other dimensions of your health that really do affect your physical health. And there are things like emotional and mental and occupational. And today, what we're talking about is your financial health. And so I thought it would be a great first episode of this series because it's the new year. And one of the most common resolutions, probably right up there with getting in shape, is to get your finances in order or to save more money or just generally be better positioned financially. And so I was lucky enough to come in contact with a great group of folks here in Pittsburgh, Wright Associates. And I've got Kyle Beckhusen here with me, and he is a CFP and senior financial advisor with them. And Wright Associates, I have it written down here, and I'm not going to do it justice. So you'll give us a little bit more information, but you are a fiduciary advisory firm here in Pittsburgh, and you really specialize in helping high-earning families and retiring professionals do more with their money. So invest better, save money on taxes, just save money in general. So Kyle, I'm thrilled that you could be here with me for this first episode or installment of this series. And so tell us a little bit more about you and what you do and about Wright Associates.
Yeah, appreciate it, Nikki. I'm one of the senior financial advisors at Wright Associates, like you said, and we are local in Pittsburgh. We do work with clients across the country. Been around about 20 years, and we do a lot of work with the high earning professionals, families, and retiring professionals. We do help them save more, invest better, spend less in taxes. We really enjoy what we do, and we try to keep it very simple. We know financial planning, retirement, this type of conversation is not the most exciting thing. Sometimes people wake up in the middle of the night freaking out about it, but I can tell you, nobody wakes up first thing in the morning, jumping out of bed, excited to talk about their finances. So we try to bring some enthusiasm and simplicity around that.
Yeah. And I will say our businesses are similar in that nobody really wakes up, and I keep laughing about my body composition scale showing in the background, but nobody wakes up super excited about getting on a scale or talking about their financial or their health issues. And I think it's really it's a vulnerability thing, right? You don't necessarily want to kind of bare your soul with maybe you've not done the right things financially. So that's great. It's really, and the people that we both work with are very busy, and they've got a lot of demands on their time, and so really having a good partner like yourself to help them through that. So let's talk resolutions. It's obviously February, it's mid-February. Statistics say that about 80% of us, if we've set a New Year's resolution, we've given up on it. And the more I looked into that, just for my own business, it's not because people are, dumb or lazy or don't really want to achieve that goal. It's that they don't really have a specific goal and they don't have a plan. They don't have the specifics on how they're going to get this goal accomplished. They don't have the habits in place. And so they really kind of feel overwhelmed. Would you agree? You see some of that in, people who come out of the gate strong in January with financial goals, and then they kind of fizzle out.
Oh, totally. I mean, I think especially 2022, we've all been in in this COVID slump, if you will, the last year and a half, and they really want to start, okay, let's do some things. We've got some stimulus. We've maybe saved some more money because we haven't been going out as much. We're realizing things have built up a little bit more. And so they are looking for, what can we now do? I mean, I'm one of those statistics. I had my resolutions in January, and I was going to get up early at 5:30 every morning. And then I got sick for a week, and I need sleep to get better.
Yeah.
And then now the Olympics are on, and so that's keeping me up at night. So there's all these things that happen, but I'm not surprised at all that, I mean, the gyms fill up in January and they're back to where they were in February. And we do see that a lot with financial planning as well. But that's why I think, these SMART goals is a newer, it's really beneficial and helpful, as we're going to get into.
It really is. And it's funny because when I say SMART goals, I've had clients say to me, well, I'm not, I wasn't setting dumb goals, so SMART, for everybody who doesn't know of the acronym. So it's an acronym, and it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And really what that means, or what that kind of boils down to, is having, I always say, you should write a goal down that if you handed it to like a 10-year-old, they would be able to say, oh yeah, Mom, I get what you're going to do. You're going to go to the gym 3 times a week and drink, 40 ounces of water every day, or, pack your lunch 4 days a week to take, pack a healthy lunch. They would understand and visualize that. That's all a SMART goal is. It's something that you can look at on a piece of paper and say, oh, okay, I get how I'm going to achieve that. And it has a deadline. I mean, with anything, anything worth, kind of tracking and doing, I mean, you can't just put it out there in the universe and then expect that it's just going to happen at some time, right? Like we need deadlines. Your business, I'm sure, is very deadline driven. We're going to talk about, tax season that's coming up. But that's kind of what SMART goals are for those who aren't, familiar, and they're thinking maybe we're just telling them they've set dumb goals. You have not set dumb goals. You just need to set SMART goals that have, some parameters and some specifics to them. So how do you see SMART goals kind of working in the financial world? For me, it's always about input. So I always tell people, don't set the SMART goal to be lose 20 pounds. The SMART goal is more about, this is what I can control. This is what I can do. And that is work out 4 days a week, or, pack a healthy lunch 3 days a week, or stop eating out as much. Those are things that you can control. The scale isn't something always, that you can control. Do you see those same kinds of things that, what type of SMART goals are your clients setting?
Yeah, I mean, probably the biggest, most obvious one is retirement, or at least what we like to call financial independence. And it's really getting specific around that with clients. Maybe they're 5 or 10 years out, and they know, they've heard they should, or they could, or they want to get to this retirement date, independence date. And so helping them map that out and getting really specific, getting really measurable with it. As just a simple example, maybe today you'd like to maintain an income in retirement of $100,000. And so obviously the math you can do behind that is, if you have 20 years to get there, you need $2.5 million at the age of 65, and you can pull a 4% withdrawal off that lump sum of money, and that gets you $100,000. And so people, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, I think, like you were saying, it really helps on a daily or monthly basis. Okay, that means I need to start saving a couple $100 a month, or $1,000 a month. And maybe that money is not there right away. And so it's, well, maybe I'll go to Starbucks twice this week instead of 5 times this week. Or I won't order as much through DoorDash, and I'll go get some cooking, or I'll do some cooking, all those, which we'll get into eventually as well. But the big one is the retirement piece. And another thing we talk about a lot too is there's this dual process theory. I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but you have like system 1 and system 2. System 1 in our brain is a system that's very reactive, quick, automatic. Think of like a rabbit that makes decisions. And system 2 is more the slow, thoughtful, conscientious, deliberate tortoise, if you will. And if we, a system 2 tortoise decision would be like buying a house, buying a car. It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. Or rapid decisions like, you want cream in your coffee or not? Very easy.
Right. Right.
And we try to do that same thing with these SMART goals, is keeping them simple. Because if we were always on system 2, you wouldn't be able to get out of bed in the morning, because you'd be waking up and being like, okay, do I wear pants? Okay. Do I put my right foot in first, or do I put my left foot in first?
Right.
Now do I do my socks? Like, it would just take forever and be ridiculous, and we'd just be so worn out. And so really trying to keep these things very simple, very attainable, very measurable,
Right.
which is a lot of what you do as well in
Yeah.
your book.
Yeah, and I think too, when you break it down, so we were talking about, so I'm hitting a milestone birthday this year, and it occurred to me, retirement. I am closer to retirement than I am, the beginning of my career, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a wake up call. But when you break it down, you say $2.5 million. And for somebody who maybe hasn't saved a lot, or, over the years has just kind of put it off, like, oh, I have time, that seems like this insurmountable challenge, right? That can't, or people who have a lot of weight to lose, or, have to stop smoking, they're up to, a pack a day or something. Like, the idea of completely quitting, or the idea of getting to that $2.5 million seems almost impossible. And it can be very frustrating and defeating. But what I like what you did, and it's how I work with my clients too. It's tiny steps, right? It's like breaking it down into, what is that per month or per year? And then what's that each week? And then how do you get there with a combination of, maybe your 401k, but also, what else are you doing to kind of maximize, all of the, the options for retirement. And I love independence versus retirement, because as I get closer to retirement, I'm like, that just sounds like an old person. I don't want to say they're retiring me. I like that independence. So what do you think? What are the big barriers for, getting people to wrap their heads around this Independence Day kind of thinking? Where do people fall short, or where do you see them, they're on board, but they fail because, they can't seem to get over something? What are the barriers that you see?
I really think we all try to just tackle too much at once, and it just seems very overwhelming. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to start exercising for an hour a day. I'm going to eat a smoothie. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, these 5 things I'm now going to start doing. And then it's exhausting. You do it for a couple of days, and it's like, oh my word, like, I can't keep this up. What am I trying to do? If you even keep it up, it's, we're not, thinking back even to college years, or, you'll pull all-nighters studying or partying, whatever you're doing. And, when you're younger, okay, maybe it takes 2 of those to knock you out for a week. But like now, as yes, we are all getting a little bit older, trying to start these new things is just, it takes a while to recover from it. And so it really does come down. I think it's just the overwhelmingness of starting a lot of new things, trying to do it. And then also even thinking about those things, like, you really have to want it. And it's like, I know I should do this. I know I should save money. I know I want to be able to be independent one day. But I'd rather just get another subscription, or go on that vacation, or buy that newer car instead. And so it's a delayed gratification, and that we all want what we want when we want it now.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting too, when you said that, we don't, we don't want to sacrifice, or we want what we want right now. It's also, I try to tell people, when they say to me, I want to lose weight, and I'm just going to keep using that example because it is a common thing. I always say, why? Why do you want to lose weight? Like, what is going to change in your life if you lose that 20 pounds, right? So I feel like too, like when people say, it's almost too overwhelming to save that money. It's, so you want the independence, right? You want that Independence Day, but what does it look like? What does your lifestyle look like then, right? Like, you can't just retire and expect to continue to live the way that you're living if you haven't planned for it. And I think when you connect the dots for people, and they have a really compelling purpose or reason, I want to do more volunteer work, or I want to travel more, then that Starbucks or the, another streaming subscription doesn't seem as important. I think when we kind of break it down that way, that like how do you want to live when you get there, right? Just getting there is part of the equation, but it's then the quality of life. And it's the same with my clients. I only work with people who work. I work with professionals, executives, business owners. And I always say, you're working so hard to get to retirement or to this independence and to sell your business. What is your health going to be like when you get there? Are you going to be healthy? Are you going to be able to do the things that you have dreamed about doing for the past 25 years? So I love that kind of connection there. So, okay, so we've talked about SMART goals, and we're going to come back to it with one in particular, but let's talk about habits. So, when I work with a client, I talk big vision, right? And I think we had talked about this prior, in our prep for this. Your vision could be for the year, for 5 years. As it relates financially, it could be a 10-year vision, right? Like, where do I want to be in 10 years or 20 years? Um, and then from that vision comes these goals, right? So we pull out of the vision, like, if I'm going to get here in 10 years, these are the financial goals that I have to have in place. But where the rubber meets the road is the day-to-day habits. It's the Starbucks, it's the streaming services, it's the, maxing out your 401k or whatever. I'm not the person to tell them. But when we talk about habits, what are some of the financial habits? And we talked about things that you want people to start and things you want them to stop. So why don't you give us just a little bit on like 2 habits you'd love for people to start financially, and maybe 1 or 2 habits that you would just, if you had your wish, that people would just stop doing.
Yeah. I'll so start doing. This might sound crazy, but I would, especially with professionals, would really like them to start asking for help. They're so used to having the answers for everything and doing things on their own. They're successful. They own their business. They know what's going on. They're telling other people what they need to be doing. And it's like, especially in finances, the world is changing so much. Taxes change every year. And, I'm the same way. You walk into like a retail store and someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, do you need help looking for something?" "No, I'm good." Maybe they'll come up to you a second time after 5 minutes. Like, "Do you need help?" You're like, "No, I'm still good." It's just our nature to say no. We're like, "No, thanks." And
right.
then after you've been wandering around the store for maybe a half hour, finally they come over and say, "You sure you don't need this help?"
You sure? You look like you need help.
All right, but that would be helpful. And it's hard. It's not something people enjoy doing as far as asking for help. And like, same deal. If your chest or your heart or something's hurting and something's not quite right, you're not going to go on WebMD. Well, if you do, you're going to find out you have cancer. You're going to die tomorrow, probably.
Right. That's never a good idea.
Your blood pressure's going to go even higher. But you don't go to a general practitioner either, because they're just going to tell you, okay, maybe eat better and do some exercise. They don't actually know, but you go to the cardiologist. Like, they're the specialist in that area. And so that's what you need to do. But you might be scared to do that because you know that there's something big going on that you don't want to confront until it's too late. And so it's really just start asking for help, asking a financial professional or someone. A lot of times people resort to their friends or their family. And there's nothing typically wrong with that. If you find someone that has done this before, that's done well at it, they probably have some good knowledge to learn from. But as things get more complicated, especially with businesses, you're on this wheel of life and getting kids into college, or you barely have time to slow down, drink your Starbucks. And so it's take a minute and start asking for some help. I would say that would be the biggest thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I say the same thing because, again, working with people who are really driven and smart, they're not always the first people to say, "Hey, I can't get this under control. I've completely let all self-care and exercise and proper nutrition out the window because I've put my job and family and everything else ahead of that." So I love that. Ask for help. So what's the one thing you want people to stop? Oh, wait, you have more.
The last thing I want to throw on there too, if it's okay, is that you don't know what you don't know sometimes. And so
Right.
Really easy example is like I hadn't gone to the dentist in a couple of years. And so, I brush my teeth, do a very good job at it. Every time I've been to the dentist, they said, you're really good at what you do. Keep it up. And then I showed up and I happened to have 2 cavities and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And I was very upset. But I mean, thankfully I got taken care of those sooner than later, but I could have woken up 6 months later on a vacation somewhere with an achy tooth. And it's like, oh shoot, I should have had that taken care of, but I didn't know about it. But yeah. So as far as stopping, stop listening to all the noise out there. As far as like financials go, like listening to CNBC or every alert that pops up on your phone, every other day the world is ending and the markets are collapsing and nobody is saving cats out of trees anymore. It's just terrible. And so it's just like, turn that off and stop reacting. And knowing that you have a plan, the market went down 10% toward the end of January. Thankfully, we didn't get that many phone calls. I'd like to think because we're doing a good job at what we do, but preparing clients for that. And it's just, stop checking your portfolios, stop looking at everything daily, and don't let that.
That's something I need to do.
Social media and news, like they're meant to put these huge headlines out there to get your attention, and they do a very good job at it.
Right. Right. Yeah, I would say very similar in my world. Stop, following the Instagram influencers who have the latest, quick fix diet that's, going to save, just solve all your problems. You have to put in the work and it does take time. I think that's the other thing. So to your point about looking at, I get my quarterly statements and I do look at them, but in the past couple of years, it's like, okay, I'm getting closer. Maybe I should check more often. And that was not always great. Like I was like, wait, what happened? I used to be so blissfully kind of just living my life and looking at the quarterly statements. So it's really, really good advice because, I know people are anxious. There's a lot going on. And to your point, that, that's what headlines are for and stories that are posted on, Facebook or on Twitter. They want you to click. So great advice there. So I'm going to throw out what I think is, maybe a common SMART goal that your clients might have, and really too I think this spans any age. So this is great for young people who are maybe in their first job or those of us who are further along in our career, but it's around just saving money in general. And the SMART goal that I kind of put together was I will save $500 per month in 2022. So if I came to you and said, look, I want to find $500 to put into some other investment, where should I be looking for that savings? Not necessarily go work a second job, but where in my budget, where in my life should I be looking for savings? Where are we kind of missing the obvious?
Yeah. So where to put that and where to find it, essentially.
Yeah.
The finding it is that terrible word, budget. Nobody likes that word. And so we like to call it paying yourself first. At the first of every month.
I like that.
You have an automatic draft from your bank account of $500 leave. We do not do it at the end of the month because if you're like me, if there's money there, it's spent. And so typically people get paid once or twice a month, middle and beginning of the month. But first of every month, $500 goes out of your account into that other investment vehicle. It's out of sight, out of mind. 500 is a good number. I like that number, Nikki. Because that is the limit that you can put into a Roth IRA account, $6,000 a year, $500 a month.
Okay.
So as long as if you're married filing jointly and you make below $208,000 a year, you can put it right into a Roth. If you are above $208,000 a year as a married couple, then you can do what's called a backdoor Roth contribution.
Oh,
completely legal. It sounds.
I was like, that sounds a little shady.
It is a
first episode of this, so we're talking backdoor Roths.
Right. No, it's a little loophole in the tax code. They keep saying the last decade they're going to close it. It's on the chopping block again this year. They haven't yet, and it's phenomenal, especially for high-earning individuals over that limit. A lot of people actually don't realize that, and so And a Roth, for those of you who don't know, is you put money in, it grows tax-free, and you can take the money out tax-free as well. And so it's pretty much the best account you can put any money into outside of a health savings account, which is typically through your employer.
Right.
And so that's what I would do is beginning of the month, direct deposit, out of sight, out of mind. You don't think about it. It just happens. It's automatic.
Yeah.
It's the best way to set that up.
Yeah. So any tips for, where people are overspending? So if you are looking at people's budgets, where, for me, I last year I sat down at the end of the year and I went through the last 3 months bank statement, and I really did have quite a few subscriptions and things that, I forgot all about. Like I had for my business, I had a subscription to a photo, like a stock photo website that I hadn't used in, 6 months, and it was $30 a month. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that, like I've been paying this. So, what are the common things that people are just paying and they just don't even, they're spending too much money on it?
Because everything's just going on a credit card, and it's just swipe, 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 swipe. Or now it's your phone and you're just dinging it to get it automatic. Man, they are so good with subscription services. So big thing I see is eating out. It is crazy how much we spend on eating out, and it is only getting more expensive to do so. And with COVID, things like DoorDash, I mean, you're not just paying for the food, now you're paying for the service. And so eating out is a big deal. Trying to eat in, trying to watch that food budget, trying not to go out as much. The lunches, man, $20 a day, they add up fast. People are spending $1,000 a month just on eating out stuff. That's probably the biggest category I see. And then, like you mentioned it, actually looking at your subscriptions. I have to do that probably on a quarterly basis. We keep swapping between different ones. And
then you forget, or you do a trial of Discovery Plus, and then I saw it, like, it dinged me. I got a month charged because I didn't cancel it fast enough.
Right. And then the other one too with subscriptions, I even think about internet and cable. A lot of things are streamed now, so just like take a double look, like what are you actually spending your time watching? And then do we really need the 1,000 cable channels, or we have Disney Plus instead? And those cable stations typically increase every year as well, how much you're paying, without you even realizing it, but it's slowly going up in cost.
Right.
So it is a quick phone call, but typically you can get that reduced pretty easily. And then the biggest thing is just doing what you did, Nikki, is taking a look at what you're spending money on. And then usually the eyes get really big and they're like, oh wow, like
it was a little embarrassing. I was like, oh wow, we really do eat out a lot. So I think that for me it was very eye-opening. So definitely worthwhile. So all right, so we're 6 weeks away from tax filing, right?
April 18th.
Yes. Okay. So I hate this time of year as a business owner, and I'll just be brutally honest. Talk about stress and physical health. Tax time really does kind of stress people out, whether you have a business or not. So this will be like kind of our bookend to this conversation. But what are some things, we have you have a tax checklist on the website, but what are some things that people should be thinking about right now as we get closer to that filing deadline?
Yeah, most of you should have all of your tax documents by the end of this month. If you're a typical employee, you have a W-2, that might be it. That's very easy and nice. If you are a business owner, or if you're a contractor on the side, you have these 1099s that you get. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. If you've made distributions, if you're retired or retired, you'll get 1099s for that. So really just making sure you have all of your documents, all your ducks in a row. CPAs, accountants, they're really good at looking backwards. So they have no idea if you bought a house this year, if you had another kid this year, if you're sending kids to college. That could change a lot in your tax situation, because this year actually there's a new child tax credit. It's not a deduction, but it's a credit. And so depending on if you have kids, 18 or under, you get a certain amount. And if you're 6 and under and your income's below a certain threshold. So if you're 400,000 of income or lower, you're going to qualify for a child tax credit if your kid is 18 or under. But there's things like that the CPA and accountant should know, but just be conscientious of looking back at 2021 and saying, okay, any big purchases that we made this year, any big life events that happened this year. And then when you do file, a really simple one is contributing to a traditional IRA account. So if you're below the income threshold for that, you can put into a traditional IRA. It's a $6,000 to $7,000 deduction right off your taxes. Most people are going to do a standard deduction. It's $25,100, I think, for a married couple. Itemized deductions would be things like charitable contributions and SALT, state and local income tax. State and local income tax is now capped at 10%. There's been talks of moving that up or capped at $10,000. Sorry, not 10%, $10,000. And so if you are charitably inclined and you give $20,000 a year and you have $10,000 of state and local income tax, that's $30,000. You would want to itemize those deductions as opposed to take the standard deduction at $25,000. And if you're a business owner, you have so many more write-offs that typically, well, depending on the business, exceed that number as well.
So
it's
a lot.
It is.
It's a lot to gather all that information. It really is.
Yeah, it is. But then if you get a return, don't spend it all.
There's your savings. That's what, So if you get, I know, so my son is 22 and this is the first year we will not be claiming him as a dependent. And, and I know, total bummer for us, but he is getting a pretty nice tax refund. And so, I saw the wheels turning in his head and I was like, you are going to save most of this. So, treat yourself a little bit, but you're going to save a lot of it because, the housing market, now at this age, it's you might as well save to buy a house because rent has just shot up in the last couple of years. So, that's my financial advice for kids is like, just save as much money as you can because you might as well, put it towards a house versus rent. It's crazy out there. So anything else for tax time? Anything else that you can think of that, because that is probably the most immediate financial thing that people have on their minds.
Yeah, it is. And if you are really good and you get them done early, send your tax return to your financial advisor. They should also be reviewing it after you've gotten it complete. Like I said, CPAs and accountants look backwards. Financial planners, advisors look forwards. And so they can see where are the opportunities now for 2022 we can take advantage of to potentially lower your taxable income, be more strategic with where we put money. There's a whole bunch of things, especially this year, to take advantage of. So I'm asking all of our clients now for their tax returns just to review that and make sure nothing got missed.
Oh, that's awesome. Right. Oh, that's such a great, just an extra set of eyes. So that's good info. Oh my gosh, I can't believe we're already at like 30 minutes. Oh, wow. So we're gonna wrap it up. I think we could probably talk about this for quite some time because there's so much information. There's so much out there, that you can do to just put yourself in a better position financially. So thank you so much for being my first guest on this pilot kind of program that I'm trying to do for my clients, and then, connecting with other professionals who are working with some of the same people. Because like I said, your financial wellness is so much a part of your physical wellness and your mental and emotional state. It really can affect you positively or negatively. So thank you so much. Later this month, Wright Associates and I will be doing a webinar, and we'll have more information about that. We'll post it here in this Facebook page. I'm sure Wright will include it in some of their emails and the things that they do to communicate to their clients, and I'll do that as well. But we're going to do kind of more of an educational webinar where people can log in and actually ask their questions and have a little bit more of a deeper dive into some of these topics. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope that if you were on and if you have questions, continue to post them in the comments. We'll be monitoring that. We'll come back to it and look, and I'll make sure that Kyle or somebody from his office. I will not try to be answering any financial questions. I promise. I will not be giving any advice out there. But next month, I am going to be talking about emotional wellness. That will be the next dimension of emotional wellness, or of your total wellness, is your emotional state of mind. And, as we're hitting that 2-year mark of a pandemic, everybody's emotional and mental well-being are being challenged. Even the most, mentally strong people are having some challenges. So that's what we're going to be talking about next month. But thank you so much, Kyle. And we'll see you all back here next month. All right. Take care.
Sounds good. Thanks, Nikki.